Namaskaram to the internet. I'm Hannah and I'm a Christian. You're gonna see soon why that's relevant to this video. On October 7th, I, like the rest of the world, was horrified by the massacre that took place. Many people that died, especially as someone who's deeply studied the Holocaust and the history of anti-Semitism across centuries. I grieved deeply for the Jewish community as a whole, people whose lives were forever changed after that day, for the hostages that were taken. As someone with little to no direct influence on world events, all I could do was pray for comfort, for resolution, for safety, a lasting peace, hopefully in our lifetime. On October 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st, and 647 days since then, I have grieved for the Palestinian people. I have prayed for them, researched all that I could about the Nakba and the history of their oppression by settlers, both offline and online. Constantly bring up the need for a ceasefire and try and bring awareness to the atrocities that were being perpetrated by the state of Israel. Now, repeated calls for a ceasefire seem to be quite a controversial opinion to be holding for some of my millions of followers, which surprised me a little but alarmed me a lot. One of the most common messages that I get, or messaging that I see on the platforms of some people who don't agree with me, the liberal, the woke left, liberal progressives only want to talk about Palestine. See, so many other people are suffering. You only want to talk about this one conflict. What hypocrisy, which I find slightly funny because firstly, I'm not sure that I've seen all of these people posting about all these crises that they were telling me about. I haven't seen that, but that's their prerogative. You don't need to post about everything. Secondly, please do educate yourself, as I am, about the conflicts that are happening in the rest of the world, especially in Sudan and Congo, which are horrible and they're criminally underreported, and in Syria and in Yemen and in Ukraine, in the US, in India, my country that I love very much, but is also currently a little bit of a dumpster fire. There's horrible situations happening everywhere. Why am I spending so much energy talking about Palestine, a country that I've never been in? What brings me back to what I said in the beginning. I am a Christian. To my utter shame and dismay, most of the people who have a problem with me posting about Palestine are other Christians. They've told me, Hannah, be very careful. Don't post about this. Don't go to the marches, because you're going against God's chosen people. As if the 17,000 children that have died in Gaza are not God's precious people. As if you and I are not people that Jesus, who, by the way, was born in Bethlehem, as if we're not people that he died for. I have seen so much hateful rhetoric and blind loyalty to the modern day political state of Israel that I feel many Christians believe is part of being a Christian. And I categorically, vehemently oppose that idea. If you're going to look me in the eye, you're going to look me in the face and tell me that God is okay with what's happening there right now, I will not believe you. If you're going to sit there and tell me that all the terrible things that Israel have done, all the famine that's being induced, is going to impact generations to come, the hundreds of journalists that have been killed and silenced, after all of this, if you're going to tell me that the God that I love and serve is going to be skipping off into the sunset with his chosen people, I do not believe you. And that is why I am speaking up so much about this issue as opposed to many others, because Christianity is not being used to justify any other humanitarian crisis right now. Nobody is sitting there and telling me that it is God's plan that Ukraine has been occupied for these many years. And I feel so helpless because I'm sitting here in the comfort of my own home and I'm ranting and I'm posting on Instagram, and it's not like anything is stopping. People are still dying. I still do it because I want to make it clear that not all Christians think that God is rejoicing over this. I want to make it clear that there are still Christians that don't believe that blind loyalty to the nationalist greed and cruelty of the modern day state of Israel, which by the way didn't even exist when the Bible was written is not the Christian stance. Christian principles and the Christian faith has been twisted so many times in history to justify all kinds of cruelty, slavery, colonialism, the Holocaust. I don't feel like sitting here and have that happen once again. Some people tell me, Hannah, what is the problem? Like, this is happening so far away. Just focus on your own walk with God. Focus on the people around you. Clean your room. You're so right. My room is a mess. But you can't possibly think as a Christian that the things that are happening in the world don't have an effect on you, that you're not supposed to care. Don't think that Jesus would have spent the entirety of his life sitting in his home being like, oh, just me and the Lord. I think it's important to be clear for yourself where you stand on this issue, because like it or not, it's becoming a Christian issue. There's people that are talking about it in churches across the world, and there's other people who would be curious to know what you as a Christian think, regardless of whether it is happening to you or not. Wanting peace should never be a controversial opinion, especially as a Christian. The Bible says, blessed are the peacemakers, says that the Lord is near to the widow and the orphan. And there are so many of them in Gaza right now. Actually, less by the day because they're dying. I'm not saying get out there now and post about every single thing every single day, otherwise you're not a good person. That's not what I'm saying at all. I actually don't believe that humans were meant to know about every single thing that's happening around the world at once. It's too much for one person to carry. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be clear about what we think, especially when your faith is being used to justify actions that are decidedly unchristian. Because I believe that it's important to make clear what you think, here is what I think. Anti-Semitism is unchristian. Islamophobia, unchristian. Gender-based violence, caste-based violence, dowry killings, honor killings, persecution of minorities, including Christians, obviously, is unchristian. Systematically wiping out an entire population is unchristian. Ceasefire now. That's all I wanted to say.